This is one of the most important ones and I actually forgot it, so I came back to redo this. So in the PS4 version, Ark Survival Evolved, if you hold X on an item, it will automatically move that stack. If you do it in here, the only thing it does is it shows that little circle go in. That's me holding X every time it does that. In order for you to transfer an entire stack. What's going on, fellow gamers? ChaosEclipse here. We are back on Ark Survival Ascended on the PS5. I had a lot of questions the other day when I was doing the live stream, so I just want to point out a few things, answer some of those questions. So most of this is going to just go off of the settings. So if we come in here, we take a look at our settings. Someone asked if you could turn on and off the speaker, like when they are doing the when they're reading the lore in the game. So the answer is yes. If you want to just turn it off, you can do it right there. They won't say anything at all. There's another one that you can do, which I think might be in advanced settings up here. If not, then we'll find it together. But if you want to turn it off completely, you can set it to off right there. These are just my settings. You don't have to copy anything that I'm doing. I'm just showing you guys everything that I currently have. I did change some stuff on the game, obviously. Someone was asking about the chat, like how to always leave it on. I don't know, honestly. That's the only thing that I can't really test, just because I'm on a single player game. Like, I'm not playing with other people or anything, so I don't know how to test the chat while I'm in single player. I don't even know if there is chat technically in single player. What else we got here? Nothing there. Nothing there. Camera. These are just my settings. Like I said, you don't have to do them. Let's go over to advanced. On PS5, if you guys are having trouble with your controller dying, like too soon or whatever, you can turn it off, the vibration. There is also a setting on the PS5 itself where you can dim the light color for the PS5 that it has around the touchpad. So keep that in mind as well. Don't think there's anything else in here that we needed to go over. Here we go. This is the one I was looking for. So this is the other one where you can turn off the speaker when they are talking about the Explorer note. But basically, when you open up an Explorer note or when you pick one up, they will start talking. When you close it, they will stop. So keep that one in mind. And that's it for inside the game. Now we have to actually go to the main menu. Well, that's it for the menu in game. There's one other thing that I wanted to talk about in the actual game in here. Actually, I guess there might be a couple things. Alright, I'm just throwing this one here in the middle somewhere. I know it's probably going to cut really weird and all that, but that's fine. This is one of the most important ones and I actually forgot it, so I came back to redo this. So, in the PS4 version, Ark Survival Evolved, if you hold X on an item, it will automatically move that stack. If you do it in here, the only thing it does is it shows that little circle go in. That's me holding X every time it does that. In order for you to transfer an entire stack quick, instead of clicking and then dragging like that, you can actually hold X, wait for that circle to go all the way in, and then hit R2. That will move the entire stack. On top of that, if you guys want to move things very fast, say I wanted to take all this charcoal, whatever it's called, if I want to take all of this out, I can hold X and I can hold R2 and it will automatically start doing everything. Like so. And then obviously you would stop wherever you need to, but of course we're overweight, so I can't even take all of it out. So that's how you can fast. Well, you can also do that. But if you're trying to do, like I said, individual stacks. So if I want a stack of this, I want a stack of the spark powder, I want a stack of the wood. Like I said, what you have to do is hold X on whatever item you're doing, hit R2, and it will automatically go into the other inventory. I have not found anything that will let you put it on down here quickly, at least not yet. I'm not saying there's not a way to do that, but I have not found it myself yet. This is just the one that I know, because when you do it, I'm not really sure. I mean, you could do R2, which will put it in your hand, but it's not going to equip it down in your hotbar. Like I said, I have not found anything to do it yet, but If anyone knows that, I guess you guys can share that with everyone else. But all right, let me get you guys back to the other important stuff. So someone was asking about how to go into first person immediately. They said that when they hold the button, all they get is a whole bunch of whistles. This is pretty much the same for Survival Evolved on the PS4. If you are new to the PS5, then I can at least show you how. So holding circle will bring up a menu, but it's not the menu you need. This is just going to be your whistles, your emotes, things like that. This is not the one you're looking for. The one that you're looking for is if you hold the touchpad. And if you go down here on the bottom left, it says toggle third person. So if you do that one, you can see it will take you into third person and you can go from there. But I like playing in first person, so we're going to go back in first person. There is also, if you guys are not used to using chat and you are used to like being able to ping and stuff like that, if you hold L1 and then R1, you can actually see here you can put down different markers for your team. So if I'm trying to tell someone to go here, I can put that. It will stay there just for a couple seconds. If I'm trying to tell someone to either tame a creature or that I'm going to tame a creature, L1, R1, go to tame while you're looking at the creature, and of course that one will stay there temporarily as well. There are some that will stay permanently. I think the rally point is one of them. So that one will stay there permanently. In order to remove that, you just come back to it, do rally point again, and it'll go away. And I think that is it in the game as well. So now we can go back to the main menu. When you hit start, if you're going into a public server, obviously you would go to join game. If you're going into your personal one, you would go here to create or resume game. So we click on this one. You can see up here, just like in the other menu, you have a ton of different settings. And what I mean by a ton is because every menu that's up here, so these 5 that are up here, is going to have a sub menu underneath of it. So under Arks, we're not really going to mess with it too much. I think there's actual an Ark mod map, which even for the PS5 I think it's available, but I have not messed with it. So we're looking at the island, which is our game, and then we're going to go over to mod settings. If you guys have any mods, you can activate them here or take a look at the available mods. If you go over to game rules, this is where it starts to get a little bit interesting as far as how you want your game to play. So this is pretty self-explanatory. The way that this works is this, because it says player, all of these stats are basically going to be for your player. When you go to creature, it's going to be for the creatures that you have, your dinosaurs. So if we look at player, we're doing, I think I turned this up. So like I said, these are not the default ones, and I don't want to hit restore defaults because I like the way that I currently have the game. So if you want to change any of this stuff, you can set it the way that I have it. It's up to you. You may want to go higher, lower, whatever you guys want. But if you scroll over each one of these, it will tell you what each one does. If you have not played Ark before, you're going to learn this stuff very quick. The only one that I really need to go over, I think, is probably the harvesting damage. This is going to be how many times, or not how many times, how much damage your character is doing to things that they're harvesting. So let's say on average a tree, which this is not correct, but let's just say on average a tree takes 10 hits for it to fall over. If you increase this, if you increase the harvesting damage, like say you put it on 2, that should double it, or it'll do like 0.2% more. I don't remember if it's like actually doubled or if it's just a certain percentage or whatever, but increasing this will make it to where that tree will fall over before that 10 hit mark. So basically you're going to be doing more damage to the tree. If you do just damage, that's overall damage with everything. That's harvesting, that's hitting creatures, that's hitting other players, that's everything. Now the reason why I say other players is because you can set a non-dedicated server up, and that will actually be part of the non-dedicated server stats, as well as even if you're playing single player, if you invite people to your game, obviously other people can join your game, and if you have friendly fire on, then you can damage them as well. So if we go over to creature, this is the exact same thing in here. So damage all the way down to harvesting damage, those are the exact same things. I did increase some of these, I did lower some of them. If we look here at max count, you can see that it's basically the higher value increases the total number of creatures spawned throughout the Ark. I personally would not mess with this one. On the PS5 I've had a ton of dinos, there's no lack of dinos, but if you guys want it to be even higher, and you want to push your PS5 to its limits, and go ahead and increase that, but I'm not going to. These things down here are pretty self-explanatory. Turret damage, disable taming, and disable riding. I shouldn't have to go over those. If you guys have questions about them, leave me a comment below and I will answer them. Structures. This is basically your structural damage, or if you are trying to disable structure placement collision so that you can place like half inside of a cliff, things like that. Once again, these are pretty self-explanatory. If you have questions, put it in the comment section. This one's a little more important here with the world stuff. So this is going to be your XP multiplier. Obviously, the higher you are putting it, the more XP you're going to get faster. Taming speed multiplier. I increased this one quite a bit because for those of you that played the regular Ark Survival Evolved, you know that if you're taming something that's a 150 and you're not using like kibble or something like that, it can literally take hours. I think the original setting here was 3, and I basically bumped it up 4 times. So something that would normally take me 1 hour takes me like 15 minutes. So keep that in mind. My stuff has been taming really fast, and it's perfect for me because I'm playing single player. You guys can put that wherever you want. Harvest yield multiplier. This is basically when you're harvesting one node, it's going to give you more materials from that one node. These two here has to do with your character for allow speed leveling, and this one has to do with your flying tame. So these will let you increase the speed when you're putting points into your stats. So say you get a couple levels and you want to be able to level your character to run faster, that is what this is for. Or if you want your Pteranodon like vanilla Ark, you can turn this one on and that will let you put points into the speed of your different dinosaurs. Well, of the flyers specifically, which I don't think there's ever been one on the Argent. There might have been, but mainly people are going to be looking at this for the Pteranodon. This the speed leveling, I don't know about the official servers, but speed leveling for your character is not even in there, which I should have shown you guys that, but it's not even in there, so it will not be in there unless you actually turn this on. Maximum difficulty, this just lets you, if you have it turned on, it'll just make it to where the creatures are spawning at max level 150. Not all of them are going to spawn at 150, it just means that you have a chance of them spawning at 150 and you can go from there. If not, you basically have to wait for your game to kind of kill, like it has to take its course. So if you're starting with day 1, you're going to have nothing but like level 1 to maybe 10 dinosaurs. And of course the herbivores are going to be, or I'm sorry, the carnivores are going to be killing the herbivores. But if the herbivore is stronger, then it's going to be killing the carnivores. And you will have to wait for that process to actually go, because every time they spawn back in, it's going to spawn higher level. That will take quite a while for it to get to 150. If you want to have 150 day 1, turn this on. Difficulty level here, this just has to do with the loot quality of drops, as well as the levels of the creature around the world. The rest of this stuff here is pretty self-explanatory, so if you have questions, let me know. And if we go over to rules, these are all pretty self-explanatory as well. I don't think anything in here is going to be confusing to anyone, but if you do have questions about it, actually there's one here that I want to go over. If you have questions about anything else in here though, let me know and I'll go over it. So this one here is one of the big ones. I had a lot of people, and I mean a lot of people, asking me about this one. So it says non-dedicated tethering distance. People in general want to know about the tethering distance in PS5. Is there a tethering distance? The simple answer is yes. There is tethering. This option right here will help you if you want to be able to go further away from your character, but I want you guys to keep something in mind. So when you're playing single player and you are playing by yourself, it's going to spawn in only the stuff around you within the distance that you can see. If you have 2 people running around and one is on the other side of the map, it has to spawn in stuff for them and it has to spawn in stuff for you. So it's going to make your PS5 run slower. Then if you have 3 people, 4 people, obviously it has to do that for every single one of those people. So that's why the tethering distance is quite small, which I think the tethering distance set to default is like 180 meters, which is not very far at all, but it is a decent amount if you guys want to be able to go completely across the map. Sadly, I would say you're either going to need 2 PS5s, one to run a non-dedicated server and the other one to actually play it on, or what you can do is you can actually purchase a server and just run it off of there and then log in with your PS5. Depends on how you guys want to do it. But this right here, this is very touchy. So if you click on it, you can see, I did not mean to do that. We'll put that one back. So if you click on it, it does have a sliding bar. If you use this sliding bar, it'll max out at 3. If you guys are trying to increase the tethering distance, you can try it at 3, but if you have more than 2 players, I would not do it right away. I would wait until you actually, or not wait until, I would try it with 2 people first. If you set it to 3, try it with 2 people, make sure your PS5 is not going to overload, anything like that. I don't know because I don't have anyone playing with me, so I'm not sure. If you have 3 people, if you have 4 people, bump it up slowly just to make sure you're not frying your PS5. I don't know if that's even possible, but I'd rather you guys be safe than sorry. So that is the most basic answer I can give you for the tethering on the PS5. I'm sure Xbox is the same way, and I do think it's the same on PC as far as being able to increase the tethering distance. Of course, on PC it's going to be a lot easier for some of you because you guys have like those really high-end computers that cost you like 10 grand. I'm glad I have a PS5 that was not that expensive because I would not be able to afford a PC that good. But hey, kudos to you guys. I would love to eventually do that. But yeah, and then also with these sliders, just so you know, you can increase it past the max. So like I said, if you have the max at 3, technically you can type in 5 and it will go in there. Like I said, just be careful, make sure you guys aren't frying your computer, or not your computer, your PS5. But that's a really big one that a lot of people were asking about. And that is all of the ones under game rules. If we go over to advanced, these are pretty self-explanatory too, but there is a kind of a catch to some of them. Not really a catch, it's more of, I guess it just needs a little bit of an explanation, so I'll go over some of it with you guys. If you guys have any questions throughout the entire video about something I did not go over, let me know down in the comment section and I will definitely take a look at it and I'll see if I know it, or I'll find out for you guys and I'll let you guys know in one of my tips with comments, or whatever I call it. I don't even know. I think it's tips with subscribers, something. I know I have a question and answer one, and I have tips with comments or something like that. But anyway, so this has to do with PvE. So you can set a timer for how long you want PvE and stuff like that to last, or how long you want PvP to last. Because obviously, if you're playing on a PvE thing, you can trigger it to where it'll switch to PvE at a certain time, or it'll switch to PvP at a certain time. That is what all this is. The disable gamma, that is probably more important in PvP, but I'll explain it anyway. So this basically makes it to where you can turn on and off, or not off, on and off. You can turn up and down your gamma. So if it is set to disable gamma, if it's set to on, that means they cannot adjust their gamma within the game. So if it's really dark out, they actually need a light source, a torch, a helmet with a light, something like that, to be able to see, because they won't be able to mess with their gamma. If you have it set to off, then they can go ahead and just, you know, increase their gamma so that they can see in the dark, stuff like that. Cave building, that's automatically set to on. You can build in the caves, but I think the deterioration is higher for your building structures. But obviously right here, disable structure decay, you can actually turn that off. The rest of these are pretty straightforward. So we're going to move on to the PvP, which is basically the same stuff. It doesn't have this stuff here because this has to do with the PvP stuff for a PvE server. But if you're doing a PvP server, that's always going to be on. So the rest of this stuff is basically the same thing. The respawn interval check, that has to do with if you're dying by the same player multiple times. So if someone kills you and then the same person or the same team kills you again, it will make it to where you have to wait even longer to spawn in. So just be careful with that. Don't set it too high, you're gonna have people waiting like 10 minutes just to spawn back in. Go to world. This one I adjusted quite a bit in here, mainly these things over here. So I increased my entire day time, not like the day time, but the day cycle. So both night and day I increased it. I made it completely longer, the whole 24 hours. The daytime, when the sun lights out, I increase that so that it's more daytime than it is nighttime, and then the nighttime I increase that to slow it down. So increase these numbers, increase this number in order to speed up your night, decrease these in order to make them longer. The initial time of day, that's basically when you're first starting up the server, if you want it to be a certain time of day. Spoil times, I increase these. These just help with making things last longer. So like your meat, your berries, things like that, that's what that's going to help with. The item decomposition time, sort of the same thing, except that has to do with dropped items. So like if you drop an item and the default is like 30 seconds, you can increase this if you want it to last like 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever. Same thing here with corpse decomposition time. If you kill a creature, obviously the body's going to stay there even if nothing's eating it, but it will eventually decay. If you want that to stay longer, you can increase it higher. No resource radius. These are similar to each other but different. This one is based on the player, this one's based on the structure. This has to do with how close the resources are going to spawn near you or near your buildings. And then if we look over here, this is your harvest health. So this is the actual health of the resource node. So if you're hitting a tree, if you're hitting a metal node, anything like that, increasing this will give the tree more health, it'll give the node more health, and overall will let you get more resources from it. This also does work with carcasses. So if you have a raptor or something that you killed and you're getting meat from it, you'll be able to get a ton more meat because it'll basically bump up the health of the dead body. Resource respawn interval, this just talks about how often the nodes will spawn back in. So let's say you go and you break a metal node. If you want it to spawn in almost immediately or very quickly, then you want to decrease this number in order to have it spawn back in quicker, which I did do that on mine. Technically I can set it to 0 and I can just keep respawning the same thing over and over, but I've never tried that, so I would assume there's probably still at least like a second delay or something like that. I don't know. Crop speed, pretty self-explanatory. Crop decay speed, that just means that if you're leaving the berries in a crop that you're growing or the plants in a crop that you're growing, it will decay slower as long as it's still in that crop. The rest of these are pretty self-explanatory. I'm not going to go over those. I'm not going to go over anything over here. These ones will be a little harder for me to explain just because I don't do things with the babies. I've never really done like the imprinting, anything like that, but if you guys have questions about it, let me know and I can find out for you. If we go over to Wild Dino, these are the base stats on a Wild Dino. So basically if you want the dinos to have like their default health, their default stamina, things like that, leave this alone, don't touch it. If you want the dinosaurs to take forever to die, for the wild dinos, increase their health. If you want them to have more stamina, increase the stamina. It's all pretty self-explanatory here. Other than temperature, I'm not really sure what the temperature has to do with anything. Scaling factor for the amount of temperature gained by taming creatures. Okay, so this is when you tame it. That doesn't make any sense. Okay, yeah, no, it makes sense. So basically this is going to be the multiplier for when you initially tame the creature. You know how they get like so many levels based on whatever you're feeding them? This is going to be the multiplier there. So if you want them to get an extremely high level or something like that, you might want to turn all this stuff up. Or if you want them to have a ton of weight when you tame them, turn that up. But I'm not going to mess with any of that in mind. That seems like it's going to be overkill. And I like trying to find the perfect dinos without needing to mess with this stuff. Tamed dinos, on the other hand, this one's a little bit different. I don't know what the stat affinity thing is. I think this might be their max or something. I have no idea. Their stats per level. This has to do with when they are first being tamed. Yeah, so this is going to be a percentage of their default, which sounds the exact same as this, but this one says basically the same thing. Now the add per level, that one's a little bit different. So basically every time you put a level into your dinosaur, they're going to get 0.14 health, they're going to get 1 times stamina, they're going to get 1 times oxygen, all the numbers that are in here. These are a little bit confusing, honestly. So You want to learn more, let me know. Like I said, I will look it up for you guys. Same thing here with the player. This has to do with just your normal stuff. Obviously, you're not going to be taming yourself or anything like that, but this has to do with points per investment. So if you want your weight to increase by more than just whatever the normal thing is when you give it, which I think it's like 10 or something like that with the weight, if you want it to increase by 20, you can probably bump that up to 2 or 3 or 4, or however much you want. I would not mess with this stuff either, but once again, play how you guys want to play. XP multipliers. This is kind of a big one. Just depends on how fast you want to get your XP. First of all, these are all XP. It has nothing to do with you getting more materials or anything. This is just XP. So if you look here, this is generic. This is your overall how much you're getting, like you know how when you first log into the game and it's giving you that slow bit of XP, that's what this is. If you want that to increase and you start getting levels like crazy, then increase this number. Harvesting, every time you harvest something, it gives you a bit of XP. If you want that increase, turn that up. Same thing with crafting. Explorer notes, I would not mess with this one because the explorer notes are pretty powerful on their own just by picking them up. If you bump that up to 2 or 3, you're probably going to get levels after picking up just 1, and you might be already maxed out, so just be careful with that. Same thing with this, so special kills, or wait, what's special? Special circumstances. I have no idea what falls under special circumstance. So you have your regular kills, your boss kills, your alpha creature kills, your cave creature kills, wild creature kills, tame creature kills. That one's more for PvP because you're not going to get points off of killing your own tame. And then your unclaimed creature kills. So this is all XP stuff. If you want more for killing a boss, increase that to 2. If you want more for killing an alpha, increase that to a higher number. Like I said, pretty self-explanatory. The very last one here, we have miscellaneous. I changed a couple things in here, but not too much. So I didn't mess with the max players or anything like that, or max XP for the player or the creature. Those are set to 0, which I think sets it to like infinite. Sets the maximum number. It doesn't say. I know on... Yeah, there it goes. It says 0 means no limit. Now, I don't know if that means that you can just keep getting XP and keep leveling, because on Ark Survival Evolved it didn't do that. It would still stop you at your max level. But I'm not sure exactly how that works. What else we got here? These are all pretty self-explanatory. The rest of these are pretty self-explanatory as well. The fuel consumption one, I did turn this one up as well. This is one of the ones where if you have wood or even actual gasoline in the, like if you have the fuel, if you have the wood in the forge or the gasoline in like a generator, it will make one gasoline or one wood last 5 times as long. So say one piece of wood in a forge lasts 10 minutes, this will make it last 50 minutes off that one piece of wood. Well, I don't know if it's actually 50, but increasing it will make it last longer and longer. I would say if you guys want to know how long it's going to last, log into your game, see what it's currently at, and then come out here and either double it or go to a higher number, log back into your game, check it, and if you're happy with that, then leave it, but if not, then come back out and adjust as, you know, accordingly. And then these last two, platform structure limit, that has to do with the building on the back of like a Titanosaur or a Quetzal or even a raft, because it is going to have a structure limit based on a moving platform. So if you want to increase that, you can increase that number there. And then the show floating text damage, that's going to have to do with you attacking. So when you attack or when the dinosaurs attack you, it'll show numbers of how much damage you're doing, how much damage they're doing to you. If you don't want it to show that, you can definitely turn that off. But other than that, that's pretty much it. There is the engrams here, which I did not mess with any of these. You can turn them on, off if you guys don't want people to have fur gear because you don't want them up in the snow. Take them off. Click on it and it'll turn it off. But I mean, that's up to you guys. Hopefully I didn't just turn that off. I don't think I did. That's off. There we go. That's on. Okay, but yeah, so like I said, questions, comments, concerns, put it down in the comment section. If you guys have any other tips and tricks for anyone else who is interested in learning more about the game and how to play it, then definitely drop all of your notes below. But thank you all for joining me. Just a quick reminder, I do have videos being posted 7 a.m. daily, and then Monday through Saturday I have been going live at 5 p.m. Both of those times are Central Standard Time here in the US. But other than that, thank you all for joining me, and I will see you guys in the next video.